My name is Donna Nathanson, and I'm 29 years old. I never imagined I'd be telling a story like this one that starts with heartbreak, humiliation, and a betrayal so subtle it almost slipped beneath my exhaustion. But looking back now, I can see the moment everything began to crack. And it wasn't when my boyfriend Robert told me I wasn't ambitious enough for him. No. It was weeks before that and all the things he never bothered to ask. Robert and I had been together for 4 years. 4 years of me supporting him through nursing school, late-night flashcards, early morning study sessions, ramen dinners, and me covering most of the rent so he could focus on graduating. I celebrated every exam he passed as if I'd taken it myself. I bragged about him constantly. I pushed him. I believed in him. I acted like we were building a future together. That Tuesday, God. I will never forget that Tuesday. I came home after a brutal 12-hour shift. My hair was still tied back from work. My feet felt like lead. I smelled like antiseptic and cheap cafeteria coffee. All I wanted was a hot shower, a warm meal, and the quiet comfort of my boyfriend's arms. Instead, I walked into the kitchen and found Robert waiting at the table with what I would later recognize as his "we need to talk" expression. His hands were folded, his jaw was tight, his leg bounced under the table. My heart sank straight into my stomach. "What's going on?" I asked, setting my bag down. He drew a breath, a long, heavy, performative one. "Donna, I've been thinking." That sentence has never meant anything good in the history of relationships. I sat across from him, exhausted down to the bone. "Okay, about what?" He hesitated only a second before starting the speech I would replay in my head for weeks. "I feel like we're in different places in life. You're just comfortable. You never push for more. You've been at the same job for years. Meanwhile, I've been promoted twice. I'm taking extra certifications. I'm growing, but you're not driven. Not like I need my partner to be." I blinked, slowly, trying to process the accusation, the insult, the sheer arrogance. "Not driven," I repeated. "Robert, he cut me off. "Look at Rebecca." Ah, Rebecca. His ex-girlfriend turned study buddy. The one who somehow always found a reason to text him at 10 or 11 p.m. with homework questions. The one who conveniently landed a job in the same hospital as him. The one who once giggled too long at his joke during a group dinner. The one he swore he had zero feelings for. Except now she was his benchmark, his inspiration, his comparison point. "She's already applying for charge nurse positions," Robert continued. "She's planning the next 5 years of her career. What's your 5-year plan, Donna?" I stared at him. Not because I didn't have an answer, but because he didn't deserve the truth. But I said it anyway, quietly, honestly. "My plan is to save money, buy a house one day, travel a bit, and be happy." He looked at me like I'd said my goal was to sleep on a park bench. "That's exactly what I mean," he said with a shake of his head. "No ambition." And suddenly it all clicked. The same speech his sister once gave her ex, the one she later left for a guy with a luxury car. The same speech Robert once mocked her for giving. Now he was recycling it, word for word, with the same dismissive tone, the same selfish lens. "So what are you saying?" I asked, though I already knew. "I think we should take a break. I need to focus on my career, and I need someone who matches my energy." I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't even raise my voice. I was too damn tired. "Okay," I said. He blinked, clearly surprised. Expected drama, expected tears, expected me to beg. But the truth was, I'd seen this coming from the moment Rebecca's name started appearing in every other sentence he spoke. I moved out that weekend, found a small studio apartment closer to work. He kept the place, his name was on the lease, or so he claimed. He also kept the couch I bought, the TV I bought, the kitchenware we picked together. He told me dividing things would be too complicated and emotionally messy. So I packed my clothes, my laptop, and my self-respect. The day after I left, Robert posted on Instagram, "Life's too short to settle for less than you deserve." Caption new. Chapter, Know Your Worth. His friends hyped him up like he'd survived a toxic relationship with me. "So proud of you. Finally putting yourself first. Onward and upward." Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with messages from mutual friends. "Are you okay? What happened? Did you really hold him back?" I ignored all of it. 2 days later, I sold my software. The one Robert never asked about. The one he assumed was nothing more than Donna's little tech hobby. The one he didn't care about because it didn't involve a stethoscope or the hospital gossip mill. For 3 years, I'd been quietly building a logistics management tool, boring, simple, efficient. Not flashy enough to impress someone like him, but profitable enough that when a larger company bought it, the payout covered more than comfort. It gave me breathing room, time, options. Ambition he never even bothered to see. I didn't tell him directly. Instead, I screenshot his Instagram post and shared it on my own page with a caption, "Couldn't agree more," and beneath it a photo of a mock resignation letter, "Dear past relationship. After 4 years of dedicated service, I've decided to pursue opportunities that better align with my values and goals. My last day was Tuesday. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. Donna." Petty maybe, satisfying absolutely. My post exploded among our friends. Suddenly the narrative shifted. People wanted details. And Robert, he called, he texted, he begged me to talk. He even sent a message saying, "I heard about your software thing. Why didn't you tell me?" Funny how ambition becomes attractive once it comes with a paycheck. But Robert had no idea what was coming next. No idea how deep his lies went. No idea what I was about to uncover. And absolutely no idea that his world, his carefully curated image, was about to collapse. All because he underestimated the woman he dismissed as comfortable. For a week after the Instagram fiasco, the calls and texts from Robert kept coming. First angry, then confused, then pleading, then angry again. That predictable cycle of someone who suddenly realizes they miscalculated their own importance in your life. I didn't answer any of them. Not out of spite, just clarity. I finally saw him for who he was. But the universe wasn't done showing me just how little he had understood me or basic boundaries. It happened on a quiet Thursday evening when my email pinged with a new credit card statement. I didn't think anything of it at first. I was cooking pasta half distracted, humming to myself. Then I saw the number at the top of the bill, $1.127. My eyebrows pulled together. I scrolled. Nordstrom, $398.52 dough. Aura Bistro, $217.90. Sephora, $189.44. Uber, $30.86.10. Another Nordstrom purchase, $160.51. My body went cold. Robert. I had added him as an authorized user nearly 2 years ago to help him build credit after nursing school. He promised he would only use it for gas or emergencies, and he kept that promise until the moment he dumped me. I stared at the screen, genuinely stunned. Who goes on a celebratory shopping spree on their ex's credit card? When I revoked his access, the system asked, "Would you like to notify the user?" I clicked no. I paid the bill immediately, protecting my credit, not him. Then calmly, clinically, I drafted an email. Short, professional, the opposite of emotional. Subject: outstanding charges. Hi, Robert. Attached is a summary of charges made to my account after our relationship ended. Please remit the total of $1,102.47 within 15 business days. Let me know if you have any questions. Best, Donna. I attached a PDF with every charge highlighted in yellow. I hit send. His response wasn't an email, it was a phone call full of shouting. "What the hell is this, Donna?" he barked the second I answered. I spoke evenly. "An invoice. You can't do this. You spent money on my card after we broke up. You owe me." I was an authorized user. "You were," I corrected. Past tense. And being an authorized user isn't a free pass to treat my credit card like your personal reward fund. This is ridiculous. What's ridiculous is thinking you could dump me, then take me on a shopping date with myself. Pay me back, or I file a simple debt claim in small claims court. Your choice. "You wouldn't—" "It's paperwork," I said. "I'm good at paperwork." He hung up. 5 minutes later, I got a call from Rebecca. "Donna, can we talk?" she asked, using the fakest soft voice I'd ever heard. "No," I replied and ended the call. 2 hours later, Robert texted, "Robert, you're being dramatic. Me, and you're being irresponsible. Pay your debt." But honestly, the credit card fiasco was only the appetizer. The real twist came 2 days later. I received a generic email from the property management company of the old apartment parking lot maintenance scheduled next month. It was sent to both tenants. I was about to delete it when something tugged at me. Both tenants. Why would they email me if, according to Robert, I had never been on the lease? A slow dread pooled in my stomach. I called the office. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice light. "I just wanted to confirm that I've been removed from the lease for Unit 4B. My ex-boyfriend was supposed to update the paperwork." The woman on the phone clicked through documents for a moment. "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Nathanson. Our records show you and Mr. Rowan are both still active co-tenants." My breath stalled. Co-tenants. Active. Equal. "So I was never removed," I clarified. "No, ma'am. Not according to the file. That requires both parties' signatures." Interesting. Very interesting. As she spoke, my mind splintered into two simultaneous reactions. Shock at how easily he lied to me. Opportunity, because if my name was legally still on the lease, it meant I had every right to be there, any day, any time, with my own key. And he couldn't legally stop me. Thank you, I said calmly and hung up. I didn't storm over. I didn't confront him. I didn't even breathe a word of it to anyone, not yet. I simply filed it away. Because information like that, you don't waste it. You wait for the perfect moment. Over the next few days, my buddy Lila, who still lived in the same complex, became my accidental informant. She wasn't spying, she just gleefully updated me because the drama was unfolding practically outside her window. And what she told me, Rebecca's car was parked at Robert's apartment every night. They were loud, annoyingly loud. The neighbors were complaining. And apparently Robert had been telling mutual friends that I was basically homeless after our breakup and had depended financially on him for years. I literally snorted when Lila told me that. I had Venmo receipts showing I sent him $400 every month for rent. This man is delusional, Lila said. Oh, and by the way, your old neighbor Thomas wants you to know that he filed a noise complaint, said he misses living next to you. I laughed, hard. But the laughter evaporated when Lila sent me a photo of something taped to Robert's front door. A noise complaint notice. They were getting sloppy, reckless, comfortable in the apartment I was still legally responsible for. That's when I decided. It was time for phase 2. I dialed the property management office again, putting genuine concern into my voice. Hi, I used to live in Unit 4B, I said. Before I left, there was a slow leak under the kitchen sink. I didn't get a chance to report it. Could someone come take a look? Of course, Ms. Nathanson. We can access the unit if no one is home. Actually, I said, smiling to myself, I'll be in town Thursday morning. I can let the maintenance worker in personally. Perfect. We have availability at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. works great. I hung up, my heart beating with a quiet, controlled anticipation. Robert wanted someone more ambitious, someone more driven, someone who matched his energy. He was about to see exactly what that looked like. Thursday was coming. And so was I, with my legal documents, my key, and a calmness Robert had learned to fear too late. The kind of calm that meant the storm didn't have to announce itself. It was already here. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of quiet that feels staged, unnaturally still, like the world is holding its breath. I parked in my old spot out of pure habit, stepped out of my car, and inhaled the crisp air. My old building still smelled like warm, concrete dryer sheets from the laundry room and overwatered potted plants. Familiar but distant, like running into a version of myself I no longer was. The maintenance guy, a tall man named Carl, greeted me with a clipboard in hand. Morning, Ms. Nathanson, he said cheerfully. Sink problem in 4B, right? That's right, I answered, matching his calm tone. What I didn't say, there is no sink problem. The problem is the man living inside. We walked together through the hallway. My footsteps were silent. My heartbeat wasn't. The door to 4B looked the same. Same chipped paint near the lock. Same little scuff from when we moved the couch in on our first day. Except now there was something new, the noise complaint notice taped at an angle only half torn down. Fitting. I took out my old key, slid it into the lock, and turned it. It clicked open easily. Of course it did. When the door swung inward, Carl instinctively stepped behind me, probably used to unpredictable tenants, but I held my ground, stepping into the doorway. The apartment was a mess. Clothes everywhere. Shoes tossed into the corner. Takeout containers stacked on the counter. My kitchenware. My life rearranged and disrespected. And right there on the living room floor, a pair of women's heels and a lacy cardigan I'd never seen before. Rebecca, Carl muttered under his breath. Oh boy. Looks like someone's been busy. I restrained the smile tugging at my lips. Seems so. I walked farther inside, my eyes tracing every detail. My couch, the one I bought, had a new stain across the cushion. My TV, the one I paid for, had a tiny crack in the lower corner. My framed print of the New York skyline was crooked on the wall. It was like stepping into a corrupted version of my old life. Then I heard it. A bedroom door opening. Donna Roberts' voice shot out like a startled animal's cry. He stumbled into the hallway wearing nothing but sweatpants, his hair sticking up on one side. Behind him, Rebecca appeared in an oversized t-shirt, clutching it closed as if modesty mattered now. The shock on their faces was exquisite. What are you doing here? Robert demanded, voice cracking with panic. Letting maintenance check the sink, I said casually. Hi, Rebecca. Carl, bless his soul, tried to maintain professionalism. We're here for a routine inspection. Shouldn't take long. You can't just, Rebecca began. I cut in smoothly. I'm a legal co-tenant. I held up my phone lease, pulled up clearly on the screen. Never removed, never signed off, meaning I still have full rights to reside here, enter here, and lucky me, request any maintenance checks I feel necessary. Robert looked like he'd swallowed a screwdriver. Sharp, painful, and impossible to hide. You were supposed to handle that, he snapped at him. You told me you filed the paperwork. Rebecca turned to him, eyes narrowed. You told me Donna moved out months ago. I smiled politely. Oh, I moved out. I just didn't move off the lease, because apparently that requires honesty and cooperation from both parties. Two things Robert has struggled with recently. Robert looked like he wanted to disappear into the drywall. Carl cleared his throat. Where's the leak? I pointed towards the kitchen. Under the sink, allegedly. As Carl kneeled with his toolbox, I wandered the apartment like a calm inspector, trailing a finger over the cracked TV screen. You know, I said softly, damage like this usually comes out of the security deposit. Our shared security deposit. Rebecca flushed. This is insane. You're harassing us. Harassment. I lifted a brow. I'm supervising maintenance in a residence that legally belongs to me as much as it does to Robert. Harassment would be, say, an unauthorized occupant staying here more than 14 days in a month. Her face blanched, because she had been here, every night, loudly, sloppily, against the lease terms. Carl popped up from under the sink. Everything looks good. No leak. Just normal wear. Great, I said brightly. Thanks for checking. He packed up his tools, giving Robert and Rebecca a look I'd seen from maintenance workers before the look of someone who just witnessed a soap opera unfold at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. As Carl walked toward the door, I followed him. But before I stepped out, I turned back to the couple frozen in the hallway. Oh, I said, as if remembering something small. I'll be scheduling additional maintenance checks in the coming weeks. Regular stuff. AC filter changes, smoke detector tests, pest inspections, tenant rights and all. Rebecca sputtered. You can't keep doing this. I shrugged. Sure I can. Unless, of course, I pulled up another document. You pay me back for my half of the security deposit. That's $1 and $100, which coincidentally is exactly what you owe me already for the credit card bill. Robert's jaw tightened. I don't have that kind of money. Then I guess I'll see you soon. I took one last slow look around the apartment. The stained couch, the cracked TV, the cluttered kitchen, the chaos they created in the shell of a home I once built. Robert stepped forward, voice edged with desperation. Donna, please, let's be reasonable. You had plenty of chances to be reasonable, I said. This is me being thorough. When I reached the doorway, he muttered, this is harassment. I paused. Harassment, I repeated, is dumping someone lying about the lease, using their credit card, and trying to live off their generosity while calling them unambitious behind their back. He flinched. But enforcing my legal rights, I tilted my head. That's just adulthood. Rebecca crossed her arms. You're pathetic. I smiled. Funny, because I'm not the one living illegally in someone else's apartment. Her mouth snapped shut. Carl stepped outside and gave me a nod. Have a good day, Ms. Nathanson. Oh, I said stepping out, I fully intend to. As the door closed behind me, my phone buzzed. A text from Robert. You're insane. Then another. I'll call the cops if you come back. And I sent one reply. For entering my own apartment with my legal key, please do. I'll bring the police report to court when I file for the remaining balance. 10 minutes later, he called crying. I didn't answer. That was the thing about Robert. He always relied on noise to get his way. But I'd learned how to fight quietly, smartly, legally, patiently. And he had no idea that the silence that followed would be the part that destroyed him most. After the apartment showdown, everything went strangely quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, the tense, suspended, waiting for a crack quiet. The kind you hear before a storm collapses the sky. Robert didn't text me for 3 days. Rebecca didn't call. No angry paragraphs, no threats, no melodramatic voicemails. Just silence. And if there's one thing I learned about Robert during our 4 years together, it's that silence never meant reflection. It meant scrambling. My prediction was confirmed when my phone lit up with an unknown number on a Sunday afternoon. I answered cautiously. Hello? Donna, a woman's voice, said shaky and unfamiliar. This is, well, you don't know me. I'm Robert's mother. Susan. I blinked. Robert's mother had always been polite, if distant. We were never close, but we weren't enemies either. She was the type who bought me a bottle of lotion for Christmas and forgot my birthday every year. Yes, I said slowly. Hi. There was a trembling exhale on the other end. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Did Robert really use your credit card after the breakup? I closed my eyes. So that was it. Yes, I said steady. He did. A long, heavy pause. Then, that foolish boy. Her voice cracked. I didn't raise him to be like this. Donna, his father and I have been trying to piece things together, but he hasn't been truthful with us. And then his sister mentioned a shopping spree. I suppressed the urge to laugh. That happened, yes. And the leash, she whispered. Is it true he lied about removing you? Yes, I said simply. Silence again, this time thick with humiliation, not mine. I am so sorry, she said finally. You were good to him, better than he deserved. I'm sorry for the mess he dragged you into. Her kindness, unexpected, simple, sincere, hit me harder than I expected. Thank you, I murmured. 2 days later, I received a text from Robert. Robert, I have the money for the credit card and the deposit. Robert, my parents are helping. Robert, can we please just end this? I stared at those words longer than necessary. Donna, Wednesday at 2 p.m. at the leasing office. Robert, fine. He didn't send anything else. When Wednesday arrived, I drove to the leasing office with the same calm resolve I'd had the day of the maintenance check. The air felt lighter somehow, like the universe was making space around me. Robert was already there when I walked in, sitting stiffly in one of the lobby chairs. He looked different, smaller, deflated. His eyes were rimmed with fatigue, like he'd either cried or hadn't slept, or both. Rebecca was there too, leaning against the wall, arms folded defensively across her chest. She looked annoyed, restless, and very much like someone forced to attend an appointment she wanted no part of. I checked in with the front desk, then turned to face them. Ready, I asked. Robert nodded mutely. Inside the office, the property manager slid the paperwork across the desk. This form removes Ms. Nathanson from the lease. Once signed, she's no longer legally liable for the unit. Robert picked up the pen, his jaw clenched, and signed. Rebecca watched with a sour expression, like every stroke of ink personally offended her. Then it was my turn. Robert transferred the money, $1,102.47 for the credit card and $1,100 for my half of the deposit. When the confirmation appeared on my phone, I felt something unexpected. Nothing. No vindication, no satisfaction, no lingering pain. Just freedom. As I signed the final page, Robert's boyfriend turned new partner of convenience, sorry. Rebecca cleared her throat. Hope you're happy, she muttered, trying to sound superior. You really did a number on him. I paused mid-signature, then lifted my head slowly. I moved out when asked. I said calmly. I requested repayment for a debt he created. I exercised my legal rights. Which part of that is doing a number on him? Rebecca had no answer. Robert swallowed hard. Donna, can we talk? No, he flinched. Just hear me out. I pushed the signed papers toward the manager. There's nothing left to hear. I'm sorry, he whispered. I looked at him fully for the first time in weeks. He looked like a stranger wearing the clothes of someone I used to love. For what specifically, I asked softly. He blinked. Everything. The way I ended things. The money. The lies. I nodded once. Okay. He stared at me, lost. What do you want me to say? Nothing, I said. It's over. Then I stood, walked out, and didn't look back. But the universe wasn't finished. 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lila. OMG, Donna. You need to see this. She sent me a photo of Robert's apartment door. An eviction notice. The official pay or quit kind. My heart rate didn't even change. I called her. What happened? Girl, she said, practically vibrating with gossip. It has been a disaster. Apparently, after paying you back, he couldn't make rent. Then his hours got cut at work because he kept calling out sick from stress. Rebecca stopped staying over as much. You probably scared her off with the lease violation thing. She snorted. The landlord already hated them after the noise complaints. When he was late 2 months in a row, boom, eviction. I leaned back on my couch, listening to it like someone listening to rain. Not joyful, not vindictive, just observing. Wow, I said quietly. Oh, and listen to this, Lila added eagerly. You know Rebecca's ex. That guy she cheated on so many times he DM'd me. He wants to talk to you. Me. Yep. Says your posts helped him realize Robert was doing nothing but leeching off you. Says Robert did the same thing to him. You were like some emotional mirror for him to understand the pattern. I exhaled slowly. A pattern. Of course. People don't change. They just change who they drain. The final update came not from gossip or texts or friends, but from myself. I was sitting in a small cafe in Lisbon, sipping espresso while the morning sun lit the cobblestone streets. My laptop was open, notifications muted the ocean visible through the narrow alleyway outside. I was there because the software sale gave me the financial cushion to travel. Nothing extravagant, just long overdue freedom. I was finally living the quiet ambitions he once mocked. My phone buzzed with the notification. Robert had posted something new. A blank black background, white text. Sometimes life teaches you lessons the hard way. I didn't react, didn't like it, didn't comment, didn't care. I closed my phone, lifted my coffee, and smiled at the sun warming my face. He once said I had no ambition. But ambition isn't loud. It isn't performative. It isn't something you shout on social media. Real ambition is quiet, steady, deliberate. Just like revenge. Just like healing. Just like me. Life's too short to settle for less than you deserve. You were right, Robert. I couldn't agree more. You'd think the story ended in Portugal. You'd think the eviction, the silence, the fading echoes of Robert's chaos would have been the final page. But every story, especially one built on 4 years of misplaced faith, has a shadow chapter. The part that happens when you finally moved on, and the past realizes it doesn't know how to stay buried. It started on a random Tuesday afternoon in March. I was back in the States, temporarily staying with my friend Leela before flying to Montreal for a conference. My new software consulting gig was part-time remote quiet, the kind of work that actually rewarded competence more than noise. I loved it. I had just finished a call with a client when Lila poked her head into my room, eyebrows raised. "You've got mail," she said, dangling a thin white envelope between two fingers. "Forwarded from your old apartment." My stomach dipped. Mail forwarded from Robert's apartment could mean anything. A leftover bill, a refund check, a holiday card that got lost, a lawsuit, God forbid. "Who's it from?" I asked. "His employer," she said, already anticipating the drama. I frowned. Why would a hospital send something to me? I tore open the envelope. Inside was a form letter. "Dear Ms. Nathanson, we are reaching out as a reference contact previously listed by Mr. Robert Rowan." I froze. Reference contact. He had listed me as a reference. After everything. Lila read over my shoulder. "Oh my God, that idiot actually put you down." Apparently, Robert had applied for a new position at another hospital after his hours were cut. And he'd use me as a character reference because he trusted my professionalism. I wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. Instead, I set the letter down gently. Nope, not my circus, not my clown. But even as I said it, something heavier settled in my chest. Why did he still feel entitled to my labor? My reputation. My silence. Lila eyed me carefully. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just tired of being useful to people who aren't useful to me." She nodded. "So tell the hospital the truth." That would have been the reasonable thing to do. Except the universe wasn't done twisting the knife. Because the very next day I got a call. A number I didn't recognize. A number from Robert's hometown. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something inside nudged me to pick up. "Hello." Donna, a familiar voice, answered. "It's Susan, Robert's mom." My spine straightened. "Hi, is everything okay?" Her breath wavered. "I'm sorry to bother you, really, but we need your help." My instinctive reaction spilled out before I could filter it. "With what?" "It's Robert," she said softly. "He's in trouble." A cold, reluctant dread swept through me. What kind of trouble? There was a long pause, long enough for fear, resentment, and exhaustion to swirl together in my chest. "He was let go," she finally said, "from the hospital, for unprofessional conduct." I closed my eyes. Of course he was. And now she continued, "He's applying everywhere, but he has no references. None that he didn't burn. None that will vouch for him, except you." I nearly laughed. He listed me without asking. "I know," she said, voice small. "He told us. He shouldn't have. I'm not excusing it. But Donna, he's not well. He's been drinking. He's not getting out of bed. He keeps saying he ruined everything." "Good." The word came instinctively. Cruel, honest. Susan sniffed. "I'm not asking you to lie. Just, please. If an employer calls, maybe you could speak gently. You were the closest thing he ever had to stability." That sentence pierced me. The closest thing he ever had to stability. That wasn't a compliment. It was an obituary of our relationship. I stared at my carpet, inhaling slowly through my nose. "I'll think about it," I said. "Thank you," she whispered. "That's all I can ask." We hung up. Lila slipped in a minute later, a mug of tea in hand. That sounded stressful. I didn't answer at first, just sipped the tea, letting its warmth anchor me. Then I said something I hadn't expected to hear myself say. "I'm not responsible for him." Lila nodded. "You're not. And I don't owe him my reputation." "Correct. But," I stared at the wall, "I don't want to be the reason he can't get a job." Lila sat beside me. "No, Donna. He is the reason he can't get a job. You're just deciding whether or not to cover the consequences for him. That hit me like a revelation. Every time I had shielded him financially, emotionally, socially, I had rewritten reality to protect someone who refused to protect himself. This time, the truth needed to stand without my interference. When the new hospital called 2 days later, I answered. Hello, this is Donna Nathanson. Ms. Nathanson, we're calling regarding a reference check for a former colleague of yours, Mr. Robert Rowan. I swallowed once steady. I'd be happy to give an honest reference. Wonderful, the woman said. In your experience, would you describe Mr. Rowan as accountable and reliable? Accountable. Reliable. 2 words Robert treated the same way he treated receipts discardable. I spoke clearly, calmly. In my personal experience, Robert is intelligent and capable, but he struggles significantly with follow-through honesty and personal responsibility. He is inconsistent and often blames others for his mistakes. I would exercise caution before placing him in any role requiring high reliability. There was a quiet pause on the other end. Thank you, the woman said gently. We appreciate your candor. When I hung up, I waited for guilt to hit. It didn't. What I felt instead was something new. Closure. Real closure. Not the Instagram kind. Not the revenge kind. Not the legal boundary kind. Just stillness. Later that night, I got a text from Susan. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for not lying for him. He needs to grow up. Maybe this is the only way. There was no anger, no manipulation, no guilt. Just a mother realizing her son would never change if people kept rescuing him. I sat with that for a long time, and eventually I realized something profound. My story with Robert didn't end when I walked out of the leasing office. It didn't end in Portugal. It didn't end with an eviction notice. It ended the moment I stopped rewriting the truth to protect him. A week later, I boarded a plane to Montreal, watching the clouds shift beneath the wing. My phone was on airplane mode, my past was behind me, and my future finally felt like something I owned. Real ambition is quiet. Mine whispered as the engine hummed. Life's too short to settle for less than you deserve. I couldn't agree more.